Hello and welcome back to And That's Okay. Last week we kicked off our 5-week series entitled Emotional Intelligence, and we talked about the foundation, which is self-awareness. We learned how to use the so what technique to truly name our feelings. If you didn't listen to episode 1 yet, stop right here, go back, listen to that first, and then come back because today's work only works if you've already started to name what's happening. We discovered that we are all created with this amazing built-in emotional system. This is the system that constantly sends us signals about what we are experiencing. But here's what most of us realized. We've spent years ignoring those signals, minimizing those signals, or judging ourselves for having signals in the first place. Last week, we focused on the very first pillar of emotional intelligence, self-awareness. We practiced becoming emotional detectives. We didn't settle for just saying, I'm stressed. We kept asking, so what? I'm stressed. So what? Because I feel overwhelmed. So what? Because I feel like I'm letting everyone down. So what? Because I'm afraid of failing. That's where we found the root feeling. We learned how to name it. We learned that if we stop at the first answer, we usually miss what's really going on underneath. And today, we're asking a different question. Now what? I've identified the signal. I've named the emotion. Now what do I do with it? Because emotional intelligence isn't just about recognizing your emotions. It's about learning how to respond to them in a way that reflects the person you want to become. And that's where today's lesson begins. Last week, we learned that our built-in emotional system is constantly sending us signals based on what we're experiencing. Those signals aren't good or bad. They're not right or wrong. They're simply information. Think about the dashboard on your car. When the fuel light comes on, you don't get angry at the light. When the check engine light comes on, you don't cover it with a piece of tape and pretend it isn't there. The light isn't the problem. The light is letting you know that there's something that needs your attention, and your emotions work the exact same way. Fear, frustration, disappointment, joy, excitement, they are all signals from your built-in emotional system. The question isn't, should I feel this? The question is, now what? There's a difference. That's where self-regulation begins. And that's okay. Welcome to And That's Okay, the podcast that empowers you to master your emotional world. I'm Lisa Renee Scott, your host and a passionate believer that every feeling is a signal and every signal holds power. In a world that often tells us to ignore or dismiss our emotions, I'm here to remind you that whatever you're feeling is for a reason, and that's okay. Here's something that I've learned over the years. I rarely regret having an emotion. I've never looked back and thought, I wish I hadn't felt hurt. I wish I hadn't felt disappointed. I wish I hadn't felt frustrated. What I usually regret is what I did because of those feelings. The text I sent too quickly, the assumption I made, the sarcastic comment that slipped out, the conversation I avoided, or maybe the door I slammed, the tears I tried so hard to hold back until they come pouring out all at once. The emotion wasn't the problem. The reaction was. And there's a big difference between reacting and responding. A reaction happens automatically. A response is intentional. I need to say that again. A reaction happens automatically. A response is intentional. Emotional intelligence is learning to close the distance between those two things. Let me paint a picture. You are running behind, you still have lunches to pack, you can't find your keys, the dog wants out, you have somewhere to be, and you turn the corner and there they are. Shoes all over the place, right in the middle of the hallway, again. Now, the shoes didn't make you angry. Stay with me. The shoes triggered a signal. Your built-in emotional system immediately went to work. Your jaw tightened, your shoulders tensed, you felt your heart speed up. The signal wasn't saying fight the shoes. The signal was saying something about this matters to you. But before we can even recognize the signal, our brains start telling stories. They don't respect me. I have to do everything around here. Nobody appreciates what I do. How many times have I told them? Can I ask you something? How often do we react to the story instead of the signal? Because if we stopped and took a power pause, we might realize something completely different. Maybe the real feeling isn't anger. Maybe it's, I'm overwhelmed. I'm exhausted. I don't feel supported. I need help. Now you're finally dealing with what's truly happening, not just the shoes. So let me introduce you to something I hope becomes second nature. I call it the power pause. The power pause is the space between the signal and your response. It's where emotional intelligence lives. It isn't about making the emotion disappear. It isn't about pretending everything is okay. It's simply giving yourself enough space to choose your response instead of letting the emotion choose it for you. Sometimes the pause is 5 seconds. Sometimes it's 5 minutes. Sometimes it's saying, you know what? I need to think about this before I answer. Sometimes it's about taking a walk or getting a glass of water. Sometimes it's taking 3 deep breaths before responding to an email that has your blood pressure rising. The length of the pause doesn't matter. The choice after the pause does. Let's look at another example. You open your email or text. There's a message from your boss or maybe a client, maybe even a family member. It's critical. It feels unfair. Immediately, your built-in emotional system sends a signal. Bing! You feel your stomach tighten, your heart racing. Without a power pause, your fingers start typing. You defend yourself, you explain, you justify, you hit send. Bink! And then, about 10 minutes later, your emotional energy settles. You read your own email or text and think, oh no, you can't take back what you said. We've all been there, right? Now, let's replay the exact same moment. You open the email or text, same message, same signal, but this time, power pause. You remember last week's lesson. So what? I'm feeling defensive. So what? Well, I feel misunderstood. So what? I feel inadequate. There's the root feeling. Now what? You push your chair back. You refill your water. You take a short walk. You decide to answer after lunch. The situation has not changed, but you have, because you didn't let the emotion drive your response. Our emotions want us to act now. They make us feel like if we don't say it, send it, or do it this very second, we're going to lose it. But in real life, almost nothing requires the kind of instant emotional reaction. Think about the damage we do in our relationships when we let that urgency win. The text gets sent in anger. The things we say in the heat of the moment that we can never take back. Self-regulation is about realizing that the signal is just data. It's not a command. You can feel hurt, you can feel anger, you can feel the fear, and you can still choose to be the person you want to be. Urgency and importance are not the same thing. Very few situations require an immediate emotional response. Now, we're not talking about physical response where there's danger and the fight or flight mode. We're talking about emotional response. In fact, many relationships would be healthier if we delayed our first reaction just long enough to let wisdom catch up. Your emotions react to milliseconds. Your wisdom needs a few more seconds. That's what the power pause gives you. So here's the challenge this week. Think about one situation, the one that gets you every single time. Maybe it's the morning chaos, or your teenager, your spouse. Maybe it's your boss. Maybe it's social media. Maybe it's traffic. Maybe it's the one person that knows exactly how to push your buttons, because we all have at least one of those in our lives. When that trigger hits, I want you to consciously use the power pause, breathe, and ask yourself, now what? What's the next response that reflects the person you want to become? Not the emotion you want to express, the person you want to become. There's a difference. Notice what happens in that gap. Notice how the urgency starts to fade. Notice how you have a choice in your response. Last week, we learned to become emotional detectives. We learned to stop at the signal and keep asking, so what? Until we find the root feeling. This week, we learn what to do once we found it. Now what? The answer isn't to ignore it. The answer isn't to explode. The answer isn't to stuff it down and pretend it doesn't exist. The answer is to create a power pause, because that's where emotional intelligence begins to change our lives. It's the space between the signal and the story, the feeling and the reaction, the impulse and the choice. So this week, remember, your built-in emotional system is doing exactly what it was created to do. It's sending you signals of information. Your job isn't to silence those signals. Your job is to listen, to learn, and to choose. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being intentional. It's about finally learning the skill nobody taught us. Next week, we're moving into motivation. We're going to talk about how to stop waiting to feel like it and start acting from your values. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for being here. This is hard work, but it's the most important work you'll ever do. And remember, whatever you're feeling right now, it's just a signal, and that's okay. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of And That's Okay. I hope our conversation left you feeling validated, empowered, and equipped with practical steps to name it, claim it, and navigate it in your own life. If you found value in today's message, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs to hear that their feelings are valid too. And if you're ready to dive deeper into transforming your emotional landscape, you'll definitely want to grab a copy of my book, And That's Okay. It's available on Amazon or through my website. Just check the link in my bio or the captions of this episode. For daily inspiration, reflections, and more tools to support your growth, come connect with me on social media. I'd love to hear how you're applying the Name It, Claim It, Navigate It framework in your own life. Before we wrap up, a quick reminder. I'm not a licensed doctor or a therapist. I'm simply sharing experiences and insights that have helped me and countless others along the way. My mission is to empower you with tools, not to replace professional medical advice. Remember, whatever you're feeling or going through, you have feelings, and that's okay.